with a standard 1911 pin. This is not the same pin that comes with the gun. A little bit more. There we go. Oh, God, what an idiot. Before you take the mainspring out, you want to release the tension on the hammer. By doing that, you're going to hold the hammer back and pull the trigger. Now we can pull the punch out very easily. Okay, and we'll put that aside. Now this is the pin I was telling you about. This is a standard 1911 pin. What differentiates this is the fact that if you see here, there's a rounded, like a divot in here, and the other end of the pin is rounded a little bit. This helps for reassembly when you put the mainspring back in, because in the bottom of the mainspring there's a little pin that sticks out that actually locks into this notch. It locks into this notch here, and that's what holds the pin in. The other pin that they give you, it's just a flat pin on both sides, and it's very hard to get it back in and get it started to get past this. If you can see in here, I'm trying to manipulate the camera. Inside of here, there is another pin that sticks down. That's part of the mainspring, and that's what locks in here. Anyway, let me go on. We remove the mainspring. Once you have the pin out, you just pull the mainspring down. Okay, and we're going to take, at this point, the hammer strut and lift that up. Now we're going to remove the hammer. In order to remove the hammer, turn the gun over a little bit, and this pin right here, we're going to push on it a little bit. Notice it already came out, and grab a hold of the pin and pull the pin out, and out comes the hammer and the hammer strut, which are all one piece. You don't want to take this apart unless you really have a problem. Next thing to come out is going to be the sear and the disconnect. And to remove that, there's a pin on the other side. Push that. Actually, something else we need to do is take the leaf spring out. That just slides right out. We're now going to take out the sear. Push on the pin a little bit, and again, just like with the hammer, it sticks out a little bit. Pull that out. And to get the sear and disconnect out, all you have to do is tap the gun, and they fall right out. This is the sear, and this is the disconnect in this hand. Sear, disconnect. Put them aside. Now, something I want to point out to you. When I took that plunger spring out for the safety, remember I was telling you about scratching the gun? Well, guess what? It's got scratches on it, right in here. But there is a way to fix that, and I'll show you later on. Okay, let's take this back down so everybody can see everything. Okay, at this point now we have the next thing to come out is we want to take the trigger out, but in order to get the trigger out, we need to take out the magazine release. And we're going to need another small screwdriver. I have right here. Okay. Hold the gun in your left hand, take your left index finger, push on the magazine release. Okay, you'll notice that comes out. There's a screw here. Okay. push on the screw, push on the magazine, and we're going to push the screw one way, we're going to push the magazine release the other way. And we're going to turn it counterclockwise, and the magazine release comes out. And then to get the trigger out, all you do is take and push on the trigger. And out comes the trigger. One other thing you can disassemble if you want to, and it's not really necessary because it really doesn't get dirty, is on the magazine release, we can take this screw out, and the screw has a spring under it. It's under spring tension. And again, now we're going to take and push on the screw with the screwdriver and turn it clockwise this time. And there is a notch in here in which a pin will come up on. And again, this is under spring tension. Turn it and release it slowly. And these are the parts that come out of the magazine disconnect. Much bigger spring. If they had a spring like this in this piece, it would probably be a lot easier because it's bigger, it's easier to handle. Okay, so this right now is the frame broken down completely. The only thing you ever may want to take out is the ejector, and I don't see a reason for taking that out unless there's a problem, and that just comes out by hammering this pin out. Just hammer, push it straight through, the ejector will pop out. But I don't see a reason to have to take it out. And at this point, this would be the complete disassembly of the gun. You have all the parts laying all over the place, and believe it or not, here's all the parts. Here's all the parts laying all over the place. And believe it or not, we're gonna put all these parts back together, and there won't be any parts left over. With the transmission in your car. Okay, so complete disassembly. Okay, we're back, and as I may have mentioned before, now that you have all these parts taken down, you might want to clean and oil everything before you put it back together. So the first thing we're going to do is, I'm going to pull the gun aside for a second. We're going to reassemble the magazine release. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the magazine release and put the spring in. And then we're going to take the retaining screw and put that into the spring. And again, aiming everything towards the backstop here that I have here, we're going to push. Let me see if I can zoom this in so you can see it close. And you'll notice it lines up. You're going to line it up in the hole and turn it until it slides into the slot. Oh. Okay. Then, before we put this in, we're going to put the trigger back in. And when we put the trigger in, I'm going to take a little gun oil and put it on the sides of the trigger bow. Smear it around a little bit. And you'll notice that the trigger bow doesn't sit exactly in the center of the trigger. When you put it in, you want the trigger bow to be on the higher part of the trigger, not the lower part. And we turn the gun over, and we put the trigger in, and we drop it in the channel. And you have to wiggle and jiggle a little bit, and it falls right in. Next thing we do is put the magazine release back in. So we're going to put the magazine release in. Turn that, put that in. And again, with your index finger on your left hand, you're going to push the magazine release in while you take the screwdriver and push against the screw. Push out, and here push in with the screw. And you'll find there's a sweet spot where this will go in, and then it snaps right in. Okay, so then we now have the trigger in, and the trigger's not going to fall out now because the magazine release is what actually holds it in here. Next thing we want to put in is the sear and the disconnect. Here's the sear, and here is the disconnect. The sear is a C-shaped object, and you want to have this, when you put this in, you want to have this facing towards the back of the gun. And when you put the disconnect in, one thing you want to do is, you notice that there's a flat spot right in here. Okay, you want to have that flat spot going towards the front of the gun, because what's going to happen is the trigger, the back of the trigger bow pushes against the disconnect, which then releases the hammer, and it's all a chain reaction type of thing. So we want to put these two pieces together, and again we'll put a little oil on them. I am kind of an oil freak. My father was a machinist, and he told me the most inexpensive maintenance you can do for any type of machinery is to keep it well lubricated. Okay, so now we're going to put these two pieces together. Again, this is going to be facing towards the front of the gun. The curved part of the sear is going to be facing towards the back of the gun. And it's going to go in like that. Now what I do is I have some people, they put some grease in here to keep the parts together, because they just kind of fall together. And there's not really, the only thing that really holds them in is the pin that holds them in the gun. Otherwise it seems like they're suspended in midair. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take the pliers and try to squeeze everything together, and we're going to line this up. This is hard to see, but we're going to slide it in, and eventually it has to go, everything has to fit towards this hole that I'm covering with my finger, which is on this end of the gun, which is where the disconnect sticks up. So let's put these two pieces together, hold them together, and we're going to slide it in here. And this is kind of hard to do on camera for you to see.